and get going. So again, welcome Dr. Kevin Cunners to another Zoom call. We have questions that were emailed in. And a reminder to everybody, if you do have Zoom call questions, please email them to the clinic. Better to email them to our new email address, labs@connersclinic.com, labs@connersclinic.com. And this is the email right there. So labs@connersclinic.com if you have correspondence, lab information, results of CT scans, etc. So gotta stay muted. Got to stay muted. So please don't unmute yourself until we're ending the thing here. So use this email, and then we'll know that we can get to those labs and get those in your file. So that's our new email for any lab information. Okay, so some questions that came in we're going to jump into right away. Number one, would Dr. Cunners discuss bras and breast cancer and what bras and breast cancer have to do with one another? I've understood that a tight bra can cause increased cancer risk. I've looked into self-adhesive partial bras and wondered if the adhesive is much more of a negative. Yes, I would say the adhesive is probably more of a negative because it's a chemical that's on your skin. So I would not use an adhesive type application for constant use. You're better off using a bra. I know there's a lot of mixed information about that. Some people believe that bras can be a cause of breast cancer. Certainly the chemicals that are used in the material is an issue. I would suggest you try to look at organic material, organic cotton, to as best as you can. That's not always possible. Just do the best that you can do. Of course, it depends on the size of your breasts and how comfortable you are without a bra. There's all sorts of issues, and I'm probably not the one to speak on that. But I don't think that in general, the bras are a cause of cancer, but you can't argue with the fact that if you're using a chemically laden material on your skin all day, that you're not absorbing some of that, and that could be an issue. So just try to be wise about that. Next, what's his opinion on food combining? There are those in the camp that you should eat foods very separately. You shouldn't combine certain foods. They can have negative effects. Personally, I'm not in that camp. I don't use food combining charts like this one. I just pulled this one off the internet. You certainly can if you find that. I think everybody's different. So I do think that some people react differently to foods. If they're combined in different ways, they can get stomach aches and digestive issues. They don't digest them as well. So I'm not poo-pooing the idea that being cognizant of different foods that you're combining can be an issue. It's just that's not what we're looking at when we're looking at cancer. We're looking at what we think is the possible feeder or fuel source of a cancer, and that's what we're taking the person off of. So when you look at more of a functional medicine approach to, oh, I don't have cancer, but I have digestive issues, well, food combining can take a place in a diagnosis for that person. Maybe even what would trump that is if you have any antibodies to different proteins of different foods, that should be looked at too. We've spoken about that in the past on these Zoom calls about getting a Cyrex test done. That's the name of a certain type of a lab that tests for different food proteins, whether it's cooked carrots or raw carrots, and the different proteins of different gliadin proteins and the breakdown of different peptides of gliadins to see if a person is reacting to those things can be very helpful to decrease inflammation in the gut. So, but that's not the first step that we take with any cancer patient. Sometimes it's never a step we take with a person that has cancer, even if they're doing really well. after a period of time, that's not an interest to theirs. But if you're still having gut issues after we've kind of got the cancer in a state of relative remission, then the next step to take, in my opinion, would to do a Cyrex test to see if you have food antibodies to peptides or proteins or peptides of those proteins to see if that's a cause of inflammation. Certainly doing food combining is your choice. To me, it's just tedious and I just don't like doing it. So I don't do that. Next question, I found a place that gives IV vitamin C. I would have to have an appointment with someone for $175 prior to scheduling it. They will waive the appointment if I have a referral. Will we give a referral, I think is the question. We will give a referral, but you do have to get a blood test. There is a marker that you want to check on that it's a very small percentage of the population, but any good IV center will check if you have that marker. If you have that marker, you should not be getting high dose vitamin C. So you still want to get that done. We will certainly give you a referral, but not one that bypasses getting that blood test done. Continuation of that question, has this clinic ever had the experience that IV vitamin C reduces tumor size? It can. So just like anything else, using it in combination with other good nutrition, with the Rife machine, with diet and things, it can have a benefit. Yes, it's possible. We have seen that happen. But also, just like anything else, it's not a panacea for everything either. So just be aware of that, but it can be beneficial. Next question, I'm sure that we still have mold in our home. We found out that our dog was filled with mold a couple of weeks ago. We gave her away. I've been working with a company that we refer people to, Immunolytics. Over many months, they test for mold in the home. The next step for them is to buy an Ostian Air or IQ Air filter for $1,000. What do I think about that? So here's a picture of black mold in a person's home. And what do I think about a filter? So I am a big fan of using ozone to help kill mold before you go with a filter. I think it's very hard to filter out any particulates through a machine to filter things through. You open the door, now you have this blast of air that comes in. I just think it's very difficult to filter. So I'm not a fan of filters, air filters. I am a fan of air purification in a way that you're going to use ozone and ions. Here, I just pulled this up on Amazon for $125. You can buy a unit like this, not very fancy, but it is an ozone generator, is what it is. It also has an ionizer in there. So the ozone generator, so what ozone is O3. It's a fairly unstable molecule. It will donate an oxygen atom to particularly living particles like mold. And it kills the mold. So the oxygen will kill the mold. So ozonating mold is, to me, the better way to go. So if I have mold in a crawl space under my house, I could simply buy one of these units, put it in there, and let it run continuously. If I have mold in my house, I could run this in my house. We have these units, not this particular unit. It's a little bit different model. Cost us a couple $100, I think. We have 2 of them in our office. So if you've been to our clinic, you might have seen them, but they're sitting way up high on the shelf. So these units, so understand O3 is heavier than O2. So what comes out of here, the ozone will go throughout the house. You will be able to smell it, but it is heavier. So you do always want to put these units as high in the room as possible. But if you're putting it in a crawl space, it doesn't make any difference because you only got a 3 or 4 crawl space or something like that. But if you're using it in your house, you'd put it on a high shelf and you turn it on. Now these also have little things, monitors in them, so you can't over ozonate the air and cause disturbance to your lungs, because ozone at high concentration can damage lung tissue. So this has that, it's not going to produce too much ozone. But I think these are the better way to go. I'm not a fan of air filters, and that's where I would disagree with the team at Immunolytics about that. But I would say this is the better way to go. If you're dealing with mold in your body, we have a new product line from Cellcore. This is their mold kit that we sell a lot of, not to just to our patients, but other people that are dealing with mold. Cellcore, that is their key component, is dealing with parasites, Lyme, and mold. That's all their line does. They do a great job, and it's been a great product for us since we started with that about a year ago. So that's something to think about too. That's their mold kit. Okay, let's open it up for questions. If you have questions, you can chat them in, or you can unmute yourself and ask them. If you get a lot of feedback on your phone or where you're at, maybe it's better to chat them in. Come on, we have a big crowd today. Can't let me off the hook that easy. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to speak. Remember, I can't unmute you.
Hi, Dr. Connors. It's Donna Russell.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I missed the last couple of meetings. I've been doing my chemo sessions. I just want to, I don't know if I had emailed you about their want to start radiation soon. So
Okay.
I've been through the whole procedure. What happened is that the tumor didn't shrink as much as they thought it had. They cut me back on the dosage back around March because of maybe really sick. So we were wondering if perhaps that had something to do with why it wasn't as effective.
Without the radiation, you mean?
No, I was doing chemo. They had me on 2 chemos, Taxotere and cisplatin. But they took me off of one of them. I think I was just on the cisplatin.
So they were saying maybe it wasn't as effective because they tried to mitigate your symptoms by taking that off of, and of course you're losing.
Yeah, so the tumor only shrunk by about half, and now it's going to the lymph node, unfortunately.
So I know the last time we talked, you were starting radiation. Did that start?
It hadn't started yet. I had the preliminary appointment, which is one where they fit you for the face mask and all of that stuff. But they actually had told me too that I was supposed to, they told me my treatment plan had changed. I was going to be on Erbitux once a week, and then on the cisplatin and Taxotere every 3 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, I went for my first Erbitux, and then the following week, the every 3 week cycle was starting with the cisplatin and the Taxotere. And when I went there, they told me I wasn't going to be doing the Erbitux anymore. Oh. And I said, when did that change? And they said 9 o'clock last night. So it was a bit of a surprise to me. So they've got me coming in every 3 weeks for the chemo, and I'm supposed to start the radiation in a week or so.
How did you tolerate the chemo?
Well, it seemed like I've had not as bad as it was before, but I still have some.
Okay.
The taste of food is not as good as it was, and things like that. So I have a sore throat today, and the lymph node, it went to the lymph node, like I said, and that's all swollen up.
Okay. Could you email us that new protocol that they're putting you on so we could get that in your file?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Will you email us that new protocol that they put you on so we could get that in your file?
Okay. I think I did.
The new chemo that they just changed?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think I mentioned that I was starting the radiation, but I think at the time
I got that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I needed to know what additional supplements I need to be taking. for the radiation, if there's anything you would add to what I'm already doing.
All right, I will talk to Ann and Ashley, and we'll get those out to you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I have some symptoms. Like I said, it's just throwing off my taste for food. Food doesn't really have much of a taste to it. And today I'm getting a sore throat. So anyhow.
Well, we'll come up with something that will help combat that.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, I'm ready to note.
Mhm.
Okay, a couple of questions chatted in that we'll jump to. How would you know if you have mold in your body? Well, we do tests for that with kinesiology, and so we would have told you when you were here. But there's other ways that you can know too. There's different functional lab tests that a person could do to test for that as well. Those are going to be the main things, though: a functional lab test or a kinesiology testing. So if we didn't tell you that that was an issue with your cancer, then we don't think that that's an issue to deal with. Next question: what are your feelings on the hydrogen water system? I have mixed feelings on that. We were actually given one, and we actually have it in our closet right now at the office. When it first came out, it was a really hot trot system several years ago. I was very interested in it. It can be very beneficial for different genetic traits. So if a person has specific gene defects in certain pathways, it can be beneficial. If they don't, it can actually have negative effects. So we never connected. I just decided, just didn't feel like I wanted to go down that route with it. So I never connected it. I know clinicians that were jumped on that bandwagon with hydrogen water right away and started using it in their office. They had some people with good effects and some people with really negative effects. So it's kind of fits with that genetic trait too. I can't remember the gene SNP defect. I'd have to look that up again. But so mixed feelings about hydrogen water. Next question: should I do a liver detox after every time I have a CT or PET scan? That's a good question. I mean, a CT and PET scan have radiation. Doing a liver detox can be beneficial simply because it's just helping take away your overall toxic load. So anytime you can decrease your overall toxic load, it's going to be easier for you to detox anything, including radiation or mold or anything you're dealing with. I did a 7-day core restore after both these scans last month. What are your thoughts on how to do detox after these scans? So remember our 7 phases of detoxification. So that I write about, and we have a blog. I think it's called 7 Phases of Detoxification. Phase starts with phase 6, which is a proper elimination. You have to be making sure that you're not constipated, you're having healthy bowel movements. That is the most important thing. Then it goes to number 5, making sure that your bile system is healthy and flowing, and that's number 5 and 4. So number 5 is actually binding that's going on in the gut, so that you're getting proper binding taking place. And by that I mean you are eliminating via the liver into the gut, and then you're supposed to eliminate that into the toilet. So your liver is dumping toxins via the bile duct and the gallbladder into the gut, and then you are supposed to eliminate them into the toilet. Well, you don't want to reabsorb those toxins. So using a binder, B-I-N-D-E-R, like our ultimate binder that we have. There's lots of different binders on the market that will help bind things in the gut so that you don't reabsorb them. And then making sure you have proper bile flow, decrease in viscosity of bile is phase 4, phase 3, and 2.5, and 2 are in the liver. That has to do with your liver detox pathways and your ability to create bile and to bind the toxins to the bile so that it could be eliminated. Phase 1 is in the liver. That's your phase 1 detox pathways with your cytochrome P450 pathways. And phase 0, what we call phase 0, is how you chelate that stuff out of your tissue that you didn't eliminate. So things that you weren't able to eliminate via phase 2 through 6, and it circulated around, it got deposited in your tissue, and that's what causes problems. Things that are deposited in your tissues and your cells that then can be cancer causers, that can be health issue causing things, and that's what you use a chelator for. So a chelator is a substance that grabs onto stuff in your tissues and pulls it out and brings it back to the liver. So it go through phase 1, phase 2, 2.5, and 3 in the liver to get out of your bile and down to the toilet again. So anything you can do to help any of those pathways is beneficial. So anything you can do to facilitate all of those things I just described is beneficial. So do I have to do a liver detox? So, well, what is a liver detox? So doing a liver detox typically means you're using herbs to support phase 1, phase 2 detoxification pathways in the liver. But how's your phase 3 and your phase 4 and your phase 5 and your phase 6? If you're supporting phase 1 and 2, 2.5, and 3 in your liver, but you're not eliminating properly, you're not binding properly, and your gallbladder's stuffed, then it's going to be very difficult to actually get any of this stuff out of you. So you want to start downstream and work backwards. Long answer to that question, but the more you can do starting downstream and working backwards, the better. Any other questions?
Hi, Dr. Conrad. This is Danny.
Hello, Danny.
Hi. Just a question, regarding.
Oop, I lost you there.
If for my condition right now, because of some of the cancer that spread to the liver, is it still possible to do the liver detoxification or even do the enema? Would that still go through? With the liver, would the liver still get rid of all some of the toxins or anything like that from the liver to the gallbladder and all that stuff? Does it still?
So
how do you still work?
That's a real good question. So when you talk about where does the coffee enema fit in with those phases of detox that I just quickly described, coffee enema helps with elimination. So if a person is not having as regular of bowel movements as they should, the coffee enema is going to assist with that. The coffee enema stimulates the cranial nerve 10, or the vagus or vagal nerve endings in the rectum. That's the main purpose of the coffee enema, is to stimulate the vagal nerve. Why do you want to stimulate the vagal / cranial nerve 10 because cranial nerve 10 controls your parasympathetic nervous system. Well, what's that? Your parasympathetic nervous system stimulates peristaltic waves in your gut to help with bowel movements, stimulates your liver detoxification pathways and healing of the liver. So think of the parasympathetics as your healing, detoxification, elimination part of your autonomic nervous system. So you have two sides of your nervous system, your voluntary nervous system, you're going to run a race, and your involuntary, all your organ function. Your involuntary is also called your autonomic, think automatic nervous system. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to go liver work, heartbeat, heartbeat. Your liver is doing its job all the time automatically. Your autonomic or automatic nervous system has two sides, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Your sympathetic is your fight or flight. You're under stress. You just heard you have cancer. You're worried about your cancer. You're worried about disease. You're worried about your daughter. You're worried about whatever, right? That's a sympathetic tone. You're increasing your sympathetic tone. That's not good for healing. That's why the Bible says, be anxious for nothing, but with everything, with prayer and supplication, bring your requests made known to God. Nobody's not been anxious by saying, don't be anxious. I understand that. But you need to work at your anxiety, everybody does, so that you're trusting in Him. That's why would you do that? Well, because we need to trust in God. But there also is a neurological component to this. God tells us to do this, so it stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system because that's our healing nervous system. So our sympathetics are fight or flight, us running away from a tiger chasing us. Think of what you need to operate in your body. If a tiger's chasing you, you need blood to your extremities, you need your eyes to dilate, you need to increase blood pressure, you need to be able to run away from that predator. Healing doesn't need to take place. Detoxification doesn't need to take place. You don't need to eliminate. You don't need to have reproductive abilities. Those are all parasympathetic. So no tiger is chasing you. Nobody on this call has a tiger chasing them right now. We don't need to have a hyper sympathetic nervous system response going on. So when a tiger's not chasing us, we want to be more parasympathetically balanced. We need to have our parasympathetics more balanced, higher parasympathetic tone. How do we do that? Through a lot of prayer, through stimulating parasympathetics. And that's the benefit of a coffee enema. So a coffee enema, yes, it will help us eliminate. So that helps with the detoxification process itself. But it stimulates your parasympathetics. And your parasympathetics are your healing side of your nervous system. So it'll help with liver detoxification. It will help with liver healing. It will help with all organ healing. So it'll help with immune system function. Remember, the tiger's chasing you. You don't need an immune system. It shuts down. But in the parasympathetic tone, your immune system turns on. It helps you kill cancer. It helps you eliminate. It helps you detoxify. It helps you heal. So you want to do things that are going to stimulate parasympathetic tone. Relaxation, walking in the woods, doing coffee enemas, lots of prayer, reading your Bible. So those are the things that are beneficial to stimulate your parasympathetics. So the long answer to that question is yes, absolutely. If you could do coffee enemas on a daily basis, that would be the best solution.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Conner.
You bet. Question, what do you think is the best portable water filter? Oh boy, there's a lot of good portable water filters on the market now because there's so many people that are out doing hiking in the woods and camping in backwaters and such. So I'm not the best person to answer that. There's a lot of really good ones on the market now. You could probably find them on Amazon. You could certainly find them in any like Gander Mountain type Cabela's type store. They have portable water filters that are really good, that will take unpotable water and make it potable. So definitely. Is Berkey one of the best? So Berkey water filter is a great water filter. It's probably the best standalone type filter. We always use reverse osmosis. Currently, we don't have any because we have well water that's very clean. But Berkey is you can literally take pond water and dump it in your Berkey and get fresh, drinkable water. So it's a great system, yes. Next question, have you used the RGCC test? So we do not use the RGCC test. We've had numerous patients that have done the RGCC test, but doing kinesiology, we use the kinesiology, not the RGCC test. So no, we do not use it. We don't. We have no trouble somebody using it, doing it, but we don't use it. Back to our peacock picture. We obviously live out in the country, so our hypothesis is that the peacock wandered away from somebody's farm nearby, and hopefully it found its way back home. I don't think they'll survive the Minnesota winter. All right, well, I think we are done for tonight. I wish you all a great week. Remind the new people on here that if you have questions that you want to be made part of the presentation, email those questions in. Again, a reminder to those that jumped on late, we have a new email for labs, CT scans, MRIs, etc. that you want to put in your file. Email them to labs@connersclinic.com, wherever it's CONNERS clinic, labs@connersclinic.com, and we'll get them into your file. If you do labs or CT scans or MRIs outside of the clinic, which most people do, and you want us to go over those with you, then it's your responsibility to call the clinic and make an appointment to do so. And we're happy to do that. But if you just want them put in your file, then just send them to us for us to take a peek at them and put them in your file. But if you want to go over them, then you have to call and make that appointment. We will be calling you. So please do so. All right. Thank you so much. I wish you all a great week, and we will be back next week and be here to answer any more questions. Thank you much. Bye-bye now.